companies, yes, companies, they consider that it is not consider, it is true. This data is a very important, it is a very important for companies to come and to bring a new analysis and to have a new insight, help companies, help managers of that company to make a decision. So it's very important. In this chapter, we have two type of database: relational database and non-relational database. Now we present non-relational database. Previous class, we presented relational database. What the difference between them? We told that relational database is something in a table. When we manage our details in a table, like UUM details, your profile, everything, that, not profile, yes, in UUM, anything in a table, we call that relational database. Why? Because we have a primary key, foreign key, and we arrange that relation one to one, one to two, one to many, and many to many relationship. Okay? Do we presented that? Do you still remember? Do you still remember this one? Hello? Hello?
Yes, sir.
Do you still remember this slide?
No.
Which one? Do you still remember this one?
I don't remember, sir.
Not only you, Saiful, others. This one. This one. Yes. Hello.
Yes.
What happened? Everyone, please open your camera. Everyone.
Okay. Okay.
Everyone, open camera. Open camera, please. Now, very fast. Very fast. Okay. 1, 2, 3. Who are others? Who are others? I would like to take photo to know who is not opening his camera. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Now, what we would like to explain is to accomplish this chapter. This chapter is talking about database. Database. What is the database and how we manage database is very important. Why? Because this database, companies can understand. Yes, the management of firms can understand and set a plan in the future. And we have two type of database. Is a relational database that we put in the tables, and we have a primary key. You see here, we have a primary key and foreign key. Do you still remember this one? Relational database. We have a primary key and we have a foreign key. Primary key and we have a foreign key. Do you still remember? You forgot already. You forgot already.
So I think we not learn this.
we haven't learned this part yet, sir.
Yes, sir.
This-
Yes.
Yes. Entity.
I think so.
Remember entity. Yes, we explain entity, attributes, columns, rows.
Yes, I think we stop ni sir kat sini.
Huh?
I think we stop there. This slide.
This slide.
Yes, yes.
This is in the beginning of a slide. This one is upon business intelligence. Yes. What is the database? What is the relational database? And what is the entity? What is attributes? Have we explained last class? What? What happened? What was last class about? Last class we didn't took class, but huh?
Yes, we didn't have class.
The class before.
The class before, maybe we stopped in the beginning, and then we have meeting for group.
Okay, what about, yes, we have a meeting for group and I inform you to bring the articles. And we presented this chapter. Do you know what is the primary key? How come? Do you still remember this relationship? What about other students?
Is a unique identifier.
That's mean we took this chapter, half of chapter last meeting. Hello?
Yes, sir.
Have you took this chapter last meeting? Come on.
I'm sorry, sir.
We took half of this. Yes.
Oh no.
So maybe a simple brief only about this topic.
No, I already present this chapter to you.
Oh, really?
Yes. Anyway, you have too many relationship. Anyway, let me start. I will start from the beginning. Don't worry. So, what is this chapter about? This chapter is how we manage our database. How companies should manage their database. Database. Why database is very important? Because a lot of big data will be there. Big data will be there. Companies, they can do analysis for that database to come out with a new website. So how we can differentiate between database? Database, what is it? Database is a collection of related files containing reports, people, places, or things. What is the entity? You know, the database is all these files. This one, 2, 3, 4 tables, right? This is a collection of tables. Tables, we call them database. But what is the entity? The entity is one table. For example, the supplier is the entity. Students are the entity. Lecturer are entity. So supplier, for example, in UUM, we have many entities. We have student entity. We have lecturer entity. Each entity managed in one table. Okay. How many? Let's see a small company. We have supplier, we have sales, we have customer, we have manager. For example, we have parts that we sell to our customer. So each one of these, it is entity. So collection of these people called database. Okay, sorry. Database is a collection of related files, contain records of people, places, or things. So that database could be record of places, people, or things. What is entity? Entity, as we said, it is a table which can represent a person, place, things, like supplies and parts. What is attributes? Attribute is the one column in that entity, like this one, like this one. The supplier here is what? Is entity. Who's the primary key is supplier number. Who's the primary key for you as a student is your matric number. Why? Because when we would like to manage the details of our students, we have to have unique identifier. Means when we search about you, we have to write your matric number. So no other students will have the same matric number. Otherwise, we cannot manage database. So the plate number or the car plate number is one for each car. So we would like to know who is that owner for that car based on the plate number. Your IC number in the country, only you have that number. No others have the same number. So this is a unique identifier or primary key. And each entity should have that primary key. Okay? So here we would like to mention something. Is attributes. That primary key here is one attribute. Okay? So we call these columns attribute or fields or columns. Why? Because each column represents something. But the detail in each column should be related to the unique identifier, the primary key. You student, we cannot set your matric number and we can put other students' details. No, that matric number means your details will be in all these columns, in the row. It will be in the row. So if we would like to search about anything about you or any student in UUM, it's like that. We search based on the matric number. If you call any department in UUM and you see, they will ask you, what is your matric number? They will not ask you your name. Yes, they will know your name, but they will search based on matric number. So this is a primary key. Why we have to have that? It is a very important to have that. So attribute, it is a specific characteristics of each entity. So for each entities, like supplier, they have name and they have address. Parts, they have description, unit price, and supplier. Why we call it relational database? Relational database because it is we organize into two-dimensional tables, relations, columns, and rows. You see here? What is this? This is a part, right? This is a part table entity. Here we have a primary key as a part number, because each part they have number. We cannot just put a number here or the part, but the name of that part is not correct. So based on the number, the part number, other details should be related to that part number. And for sure, we have supplier. Okay? Hey, sorry. Supplier. Supplier number, supplier name, street, address, city, supplier state, or zip code. This is in UK. In United States of America. Is the zip code. So why we call relational database? Because we have a primary key for this part. You can recognize here. The primary key is the part number. But supplier number here, we make it. Why? Because we would like to understand and to know who is the supplier for that part number. It's because that part number, who will bring to us, there is a certain supplier. Yes, could be one supplier for different parts. For example, this 8259 supplier, they give us product 137 152 and 178. One supplier. So we have to add a one column to name, to bring the supplier number. So based on supplier number, but supplier number here is not, it was the primary key in other table, other entity. We bring to the parts to understand who brought that part, from whom we bring that part. So we call it foreign key. Foreign key. Okay? The foreign key. Now, simple entity relationship diagram. This one to show us how we build a relation between supplier and part. We call this one to many. See, one to many. This one three. One to many. Why? How we explain here? We explain here that part, or that we have to have one part supplied by suppliers, and the supplier should at least supply one part. In other way, when we have our supplier, we have one item from them, or maybe more than an item. So we have to use the relation that one to many. Why? Because we are expecting to have more than item from the supplier, or at least one item. So we see one to many relationship. We cannot see one to one relationship in a database. Why? Because we use a relation one to one only in case of manager to the company, or the head department for the department, only one head department. So we call one to one. When we would like to use in a relation that supplier could supply one item or could supply more items, that means one supplier can give one or more items. We call that one to many. One to many. We will go through and you will understand more about the three type of relation. Now, it is one. Establishing a relationship. How we establish a relationship between tables. Hey, we have entity relation diagram. Entity relation diagram. It's used to clarify relationship in a related database. Relational database tables. Relational database table. That's mean in a database. What are the database? All the files are database. One-to-one relationship, one-to-many relationship, or many-to-many relationship. So we have three relational or relation types. Okay. One-to-one relationship we use for manager to office, because each office only have to have one manager. Okay. And each manager should be assigned only for one office. So one-to-one relationship. This is a principle in database. The beauty of database is that when we would like to know that, or to have a relation between one to one or many, we see that, for example, supplier could supply us one item, and in the same time other supplier could supply us one or more item. So how I can record these items to be recorded under this supplier? I have to use the relationship one to many. So I have to guarantee that supplier I use at least have to supply me one item or more. So the relation for that I use is one to many. But also the other type of information, or the third type, is many to many. When I used to have that, when I have to use that, when I would like to make orders, many orders, in each order many items. For example, hey, what I have to do is to create new table. You see item or line items here. Can you see? line items. We have many orders, okay? In each order, we have many parts. For example, this one, the order number 3502, we have three parts. Why? Because we have to state the quantity. How we can see that? We have to see it is a many to many relationship. Okay? But how we can establish that many to many relationship? We have to bring joining table. Okay? Joining table. Why? Because I have to add one column about the quantity. Because we cannot have that quantity reported or stated unless we put them in a new table and to know how many orders, maybe one order have different items. And for sure, that items or part based on the quantity. I have to state the quantity. How I can manage that? We have to have join table. This one, joining table among order and among part. So what we do? How many how many are here? Hello? How many entities are here?
Six, sir. Six.
Why six?
Because part number is six.
How many entities? How many database? We have one database here.
Right.
One database. How many entities? That's mean how many tables? How many tables? Tables 1, 2,
Six.
3, 4. That's mean we have the
Right?
entity.
Where?
No,
Oh,
4.
I.
Yes, it's,
Yeah.
just say 4. Here we would like to mention that entity means the table. Where
Oh, I wasn't
manage,
there.
yes, columns and records. We call that entity. So, the part. The part is one entity. Order is one entity. Supplier is one entity. Okay. How many columns? Sorry, no. How many attributes in a supplier? How many attributes in a supplier? How many attributes in a supplier? Attributes are the columns. Yes. Who is this? Yazrul, Las, Nurul, Nabila, God, Fakus. Yes, we have 6 attributes. Attributes are the columns. So how many records in order entity? How many records in order quantity? Order quantity. How many records? No. 3. Muhammad Tazik. Thank you. Yes. The record is the row. Yes. In order entity, the orange one. The orange one only 1, 3502, 3503, 3504. 3 records. How many attributes in line item? Attributes, right. Yes, 3, yes. It is the columns. Attribute is the columns. Yes, right. Very good. So these all tables, we call them database. Okay. Any data in a tables, any data in the tables database. That database is relational. Relational database. Why? Relational database? Because we build a relationship using one to many, many to many relationship. Also, we have a primary key and foreign key. Foreign key is a primary key in other entity. Okay. Now, supplier. You can see here supplier. Can you see supplier? Supplier is a primary key. Supplier is a primary key, right? Can you see here? Supplier. Only Saiful in the
Yes,
class.
sir. Yes, sir.
Only Saiful. Only Saiful in class. Where the others? Four. What do you tell me for? For what? 1, 2, 3, 4. Yes. This supplier is a primary key, R4 primary key for 4 rows. Okay. But this one supplier is, or supply number is what? Is a primary key. But we bring it here also as an attribute. You see in the part, it's supplier number. Can you see?
Yes, sir.
Can you see supplier number? When we bring supplier number here, when you bring attribute, it was a primary key like supplier number, and we bought in other entity. We have to say this one is like that. We bring the number, okay? Again, just to repeat this one to you again. We have it here. When we have supply number, it is in other table primary key. We have to respect that relation. We see you are a foreign key because you are someone. Okay? So we give a respect. Because of that foreign key and primary key, we call relational database. Okay? Because we set our data in a table. Okay, we set our data in a table. Now, okay, now you see this a lot or long AR diagram. This one is entity relationship diagram. Why we see entity relationship? The relationship between entities, between all database. The relation between in database is among entities, among tables. We call that entity relationship diagram. How? Because we already see supplier could supply one or more suppliers. So the relationship is one to many. Okay. But in case of relationship between part and order, we create, you still remember, we create this line item, we create this line item table. Like here. Why? Because this one is a many to many relationship. We cannot establish a relationship and to record the quantity here, but quantity unless we have a new table. So in this line item, we call that a joining table. Why? We join from this part and we join from this order. Here, you see? We join from these two tables, the part and the order. We have order number and part number. The primary key here or the primary key here. And we state the quantity. But now, what is the primary key in the line item? Yes, what is the primary key? The primary key is order number and part number 2. Why? Because in each order we have to have that. Okay. I don't want to go on more details. You have to understand only the structure. So the line item is the join table. Bully faham. Bully faham. Okay. Now, database management systems. What is that? Database management system can make it as easy to manage our database. Why? That database management system is a software for creating, storing, organizing, and accessing from the database. That system can do all of that. Database management system is the separate a logical and physical view. What the difference between this logical and a physical view? The logical view is how end user view data. This is a logical one. But a physical view or physical view, sorry, how data are actually structured and organized. Okay. What are examples for database management system? We have, for example, Microsoft Access. Microsoft Access one. Yes, last semester I used to teach management data resources. We used Access to teach our students. Database two, Oracle database, Microsoft SQL server, and MySQL. This one I took it as an intensive workshop. No, training, intensive training. So it is very good to know how to develop and how to manage authorities. Okay. Now, you know here how we can differentiate between different views. We have here human resource database. We have this cylinder. We have a lot of attributes. A lot of attributes. ID number, name, all of that attributes. Okay. All of that attributes. But how I have to make that view is managed or separated. Database management system can divide that view. It depends on the requirement that I would like to show our students. For example, database management system is just make a view for a certain things. Okay. Now, is management system or relational database management system, we have some operations. What are these operations? Like select, join, and project. Like that. Let me give you an example. You see here, we have joining from this entity and from this entity. We use that operation as a project. We join columns from here and from here. Why? Because we would like to bring inquiries sometimes. We call that inquiries, okay? Now, what is this operation? Select, join, and project. What is this? In a select operation, we create a subset of all records meeting stated criteria. So, based on records, we take our records, we select from the table. Joining, we combine tables among tables to present the server with more information than is available from individual table. That means when we bring them together from different tables, we would like to see much more detail. Okay. In a project, we can create a subset consisting of columns in the table. That means from table we take one or two columns, and we took also a certain row like this one. How many attributes in this project? How many attributes? Hello? Hello? How many attributes? Two. No. The attributes here is 4. Why attributes? Because the attribute is the column. Okay? 4. How many records? 2. You already see 2, Shafika. They are 2, right? These are 2. Right. How and why we do that? Because sometimes we would like to know something. We need to know for a certain queries. So database can enable to establish this kind of unique table to make it easy, because we don't want to create more entities. We just would like to bring from different entities for a certain purpose. Now, this is example here how we create SQL query. Okay, what is that? We have to use select. Okay, select what? We would like to select what entity, what table, and what column in that table. So we put them in a select. You see how it could be uppercase, capital letters. Select part from the table part. What we select from the part, from table part or entity? The part number. Also, this part belong to the name. Yes, the name of the entity, the name of table. Part name is the attribute in that entity. Okay. So the part here is a table. The part number is a column in the table. You just treat it like that. The name of entity all the time should be capital. You see here? The part should be uppercase. Supplier should be capital. Cannot be small letters or not. Should be uppercase or capital letters. Supplier, okay. For example, here the part I already mentioned for previous group also. Supplier's name. From where? From where? From what entity? From what table? Part and supplier. So when we see entity means the table. Okay? When we see entity means the table. Okay? So don't mix. Entity is a table also. But we call entity, it is belong to a certain entity in the company. Not just a normal table, but something to explain that people or to explain that entity. That's why the details there are more active, belong to the different record. Okay? Where you see they give a condition here. Where part, supply number, and supplier. You see the part. Wow. The part is the table. The supplier here is the table. We would like to bring what? The part name. That's mean here. We would like to bring them based on that condition. The part supplier number is equal supplier by supplier number. And the part number equals 137 or part number equal 150. This one means I put this one together only based on the part number. Okay, this is relational database. Okay, like that in Access. You see, Access Windows Access. It's like that. This is. Can you see here? How many entities here? How many entities? How many entities? How many entities? How many entities here? How many entities here? Here. Where are these? Yes. This one, 1, 2, 3, 4, right? Yes, they are 4. Here in the supplier. Yes, good. In a supplier, we build 1, 1. Can you see now? 1 too many. The relationship between this company, this entity. Supplier is the primary key here, and also supplier number here is foreign key. We supplier and part, we call that 1 too many. That's mean each part here should be supplied by one supplier. Anyway, when we have to build a relationship, that we have to mention that. Okay. Now, this is, we call it relational database because we tied between supplier and parts, and we bring the primary key here. We put that primary key as a supplier number, and we bring to part. It become foreign key. That's why we call relational database. Okay? Faham? It's faham. I would like to say something.
Okay, Doctor.
Okay. Now, what is this? Now we would like to see non-relational database. What is that? Non-relational database. Non-relational database is not in table, only in a Word, in the videos, in some kind of images. So we call that NoSQL. So this one handle large data set of that data that are not easily organized into tables, columns, or rows. What? Use more flexible data model. So don't require extensive structuring. can manage unstructured data such as social media and graphics. This is not relational database, but huge informations come from there. A good example for non-relational database is Amazon's Symbol database or MetLife's Mango database. So here is cloud database and distributed database. What is that? Yes, you, here what we have. Here what we have. Uh, Cloud database. We ask you to to create a folder in a cloud. The group leaders have to do that, right? Yes. This is a cloud database. What company do? Company they just rent that service from other companies because you don't have money to buy that systems or to build that database. So they rent that database from other company and they pay fees on use, the price, fees on use, and it is convenient for small and medium enterprises. Like what Amazon do. Amazon they provide this service. Amazon they provide that service like MySQL, MicroSQL server, and so on. That or Oracle database. Distributed databases is stored in a single physical locations. Google Spanner Cloud Service. So cloud database is become a good service for companies to have or to establish or to manage their data and activities, daily activities. But the security, it depends on the service provider. So when you have a cloud database service, you have to sign a contract. Yes, that contract should be mentioned the security issue. Okay. Now, what are the challenges here? Challenges come from big data. When the data becomes big, challenge. Okay. Yes, the massive quantities of unstructured and semi-structured data from internet and more. So the size of data has become more bigger and more bigger. Big database offer more patterns and insight than smaller database and customer behavior. Okay, require new technologies also. So databases are good, can bring more insight. Other one, how you could manage that could become. So when you have a big data, it is good. So the business intelligence infrastructure is very important nowadays for companies. What is that? That one is array of technologies that useful and obtain useful information from internal and external systems like that. Can you see here? This is business intelligence technology. Yes, business intelligence technology. You see, this is external operational data, historical data, IoT data, web and social media data, audio, video, external data come from outside and managed in Hadoop. Hadoop, what do? Hadoop do a good job. You do clustering data in a small portion, small portion, small portion. Why? Because to make it easier to be analyzed. Other than that, data warehouses store everything there, right? And data mart, also data mart for something for the part, some part of data. So what business intelligence are data warehouses, data mart, Hadoop, in-memory computing, like RAM in the computers. When your RAM is big, there is no bottleneck. And analytical platform. What are the platform? Let's start to explain hardware, data warehouses. The data warehouses is a very big database, store historical and current and future database for data. Consolidates and standardize data for all systems connected to the database. Mart. Data mart. Okay, data warehouses also you can access, you cannot alter that. You cannot modify that. That's why in the database you have to manage high quality. You need to come again to delete or modify because if you save, that means you cannot go back to that. Data mart. What is the data mart? The subset of data. That means a small part of data that focus on certain population. For example, customer or client who would like to log into our bank details. We have to, things that uh, they can look there. Cannot go to the database or to see the transaction. Hadoop, as we see, Hadoop is a very good to separate the data to a certain cluster and to be easier to analyze and to bring information. In memory computing, like a RAM, RAM is a very good example that can automate and increase response time. Analytic platforms, what's that? This analytic platforms is this kind of hardware software system pre-compiled, pre-configured before, pre-configured systems hardware. So we can do analysis easier and to bring that in a dashboard for managers to make a decision. So this like uh, good OLAP and data mining. We will go through all of them. This business intelligence technology infrastructure is very important. You have to understand what each part is there. Now, you see analytical code. What's that? Analytical code. Analytical tools here. See here? Okay. Analytical platform or tool can bring what? What analytical tools? Tools are OLAP, data mining, and software, database query and reporting to do reporting. That can help to do analytics. But to do what? That analytics can make to explain the relation between data, to show you what is the relation between data, the patterns and trends, what is happening. So, OLAP, what is the OLAP? As we see it, online learning or online analytical processing like that. But I would like to present or to visualize the data that I have in 3 dimensions. We call that multi-dimensional presentation or presenting. When the manager look for this, he can understand based on the product how much we sold our product in different places or different regions. We can compare the actual and the proposed sales that I proposed or I planned. So in this multi-dimensional model, an OLAP can help managers to identify, yes, and to view that data they have in a multi-dimensional way. Data mining. Also, it is the analytical tool. To do what? Can help you to find hidden patterns and relationships. For example, we have some kind of data that can bring association. So occurrence linked to the single event. If that happen, if the weather is coming, okay, it will happen. It will give me yes. If the weather become cold, the sales of jackets and heavy clothes will increase. If the summer is calm, same thing. This is a simple example. But sometimes for the weather, when heavy rain came to that certain place, means the flood will come. Or when we have a certain ceremony or a certain event, the order, for example, in Hari Raya, it is a seasonal or event, okay, that certain type of product will be highly demanded. So we can explain and bring some kind of insights and ideas from data mining, like association, consequences, classification, and clustering, or forecasting. Data mining can help to understand more. For example, text mining. Text mining, it is unstructured data, like text file, like PDF file, Word file. This text mining or that files accounts now 80% of organization useful information. You see, what they say, useful information account for 80%. It's very important. That's why companies have to consider that. So, text mining can help and allow companies to extract key elements from key elements from discovered pattern, okay, and summarize a large unstructured data set. And very important part here is sentiment analysis. When you write some WhatsApp or social media, you can read that and understand and categorize your data and to understand what the semantic as a customer. Your feeling semantic regarding to that product. Web mining, Allahu Akbar. It is Adhan now. Sorry, we just 4 slides. We run four slides and we finish. Web mining, the same thing. You discover and do analysis useful patterns for from the web. For example, we do content mining, mines content of a website, structure mining, the structure of the website, and usage mining. How long you use that? How long you use that website? In database and the web, what is the relation? We cannot log in. You see here. أشهد أن لا إله إلا الله. You see here, this one, you are here, you are a client with a web browser. How you can go to database? You cannot go direct. You go through internet to the web server, application server, and database server. We cannot log in direct to database unless you go through web server, application server, and database server. It is very important for any company to establish information policy. And also data quality, very important. Establishing an information policy, how? Means you cannot share that information unless you give permission. Information policy for sharing, organizing, managing, and storing information. Data administrator is responsible for the data sharing, but database administration are more technical. How to manage? Allahu Akbar. Sorry for disturbing, but we have to say. Let me wait for Adhan to come to finish. لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك له. We're almost done. We're almost finished now. Just to لا إله إلا الله وحده لا شريك. Just to you two things. The policy in each company, they have to set the policy for their information. You cannot share that information. But who will do that? The data administration. Who set the policy? But in a database, that database administration, that specialist who design and how to organize the structure and the content, and also keep maintaining the database. Also, as we see that data warehouses cannot change the data, we have to manage the quality. So we have to do to ensure that the quality is there, because that data is very bad as obstacles. How you can communicate with your customer if you record his phone number wrong or his address? How you can send product to them if you record wrong address? You will make a trouble then. Also, data quality problems could be caused redundant inconsistency in data produced by multiple systems. Wow, this one when you design database well, this one will happen. So to ensure that how to do data quality auditing from time to time before saved to data warehouses. Data cleansing, yes, if there is a problem, it should be cleaned before saved. And would like to see, thanks a lot. So any question? Any question?
No,
Any
sir.
question? Okay, you would like to run, I know. Okay, we still have. Yes, we still have. Do you know this one? Let me share with you this one. Attendance. Those who don't took attendance now. Can you see this one? Attendance.
Yes, sir.
This is attendance, right?
Yes.
Scan attendance, please. Who's this? Shahida.